I remember learning TTs and tatas back in music class.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I hated that garbage.
So yeah, wait, how would it go? TT tata. TT tata.
I hate it
every time.
God, it's bringing nightmares to my body from like thinking about doing that in music class. I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated doing it. I don't know why.
I think it's because you have no rhythm.
Well, I don't. T-T-T-T-T-Ta. T-T-T-T-T-Ta. T-T-T-Ta-ta-ta.
Is that Predator?
Yeah.
Ba, ta 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 ta.
Oh my God, we're so Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Get to the ta-ta.
On this episode of the MacGuffin Guild, we'll be attending Slaughter High, the classic 1986 slasher starring Caroline Munro, Simon Scuddamore, and Mark Smith, among others. Directed by George Dugdale, Mark Ezra, and Peter Litton, with music by the legendary Harry Manfredini. We're going to dig into the trials and tribulations of high school and the very real and lasting impact that bullies can have on someone, both in film and in real life. We'll also get into the mighty Gosh, the 37-year-old high schooler Caroline Munro, whether or not Skippy Pollack is a badass jock name, the telemarketer named Abraham Lincoln, and British April Fools. We'll discuss how both Pat and Mike were spectators at each other's high school fistfights and question how smart it is to knowingly take a full bath while your friends are being systematically murdered. We'll also talk about the very tragic and real-life story of Simon Scuddamore. I'm Pat Dougherty, and as always, I'll be joined by my fellow MacGuffins, Justin Jones and Mike Antonio. Our theme song was written and performed by Jordan Vincent. Now get to your desk, get out your number 2 pencils, and prepare to take notes in Slaughter High. Let's get to it.
I raised you better than this.
Welcome to another episode of the MacGuffin Guild. I am Pat Dougherty, and as always, I am here with the... I couldn't think of... I was going to say the Fabulous. And it was like, no, I need to put a stop to this right now.
But you didn't put a stop to it.
All right, I'm here with the Fabulous Justin Jones. How are you doing,
I'm fine with Fabulous.
I mean, you are pretty fabulous. I mean, if I'm being honest.
I wish I had like a larger like
Vocabulary?
Like a larger vocabulary to work with.
Fabulous, it sounds pretty grandiose, though. I feel like it's an honor.
Justin's over there doing his thing, making sure all this is getting recorded. So if you hear it, that's much to his might.
My fabulous might.
Anyway.
My glowing eyes of aspiration.
Anyway, we good over there? Everything's good to go, Justin? Hanging in?
We're good, I guess, yeah.
All right.
None of this is recorded.
Also, yeah, of course. None of it's recorded. Also here with the not-so-fabulous Mike Antonio. I'm just kidding. What's the opposite of fabulous?
Mike Antonio.
So,
Yeah.
Mike, how's it going?
It was going good until now.
Anyway, glad you guys are back again. Took a little break here, but here we are. So the film we did today,
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, Slaughter High from 1986. Who directed this one?
3 directors.
George Dugdale.
George Dundale, Mark Ezra, and Peter Litton.
All right, 3 directors. I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, well, I have the breakdown. George Dugdale, basically his main function was to work with the actors. Mark Ezra handled the writing, but also, I mean, they were all co-directors, but like their main focus. And then Peter Litton, his main focus was the effects.
Okay.
I learned that. I watched the special features on the disc, so it kind of broke it down a little bit.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess that was before the days of like effects coordinators and stuff. Like
Maybe just the...
But then again,
the way they decide to do it. Maybe, I don't know.
no, I kind of like that. You know,
Yeah.
as long as we're all on the same page.
I believe they're all British. This was filmed in England.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe all 3 of the directors were English.
So this surprisingly, Rotten Tomatoes on the tomato meter, it has a 0%.
Jesus Christ!
Now I don't know if there's some kind of flaw or fluky formula going on here.
It was so good once it broke past 100, the scale just circled back like when you odometer rolls.
So the audience score is a 33%.
Damn, that's still low.
Out of 2,556 user ratings.
Wow.
So to give a range of reviews, I only have one.
Well, real quick, I wonder, like, if you were to, like, gauge it as far as, like, if you were to survey slasher fans, what they would rate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this is just general film audiences, so of course they're going to hate it.
Yeah. Well, for example, this is Kevin Carr from 7M Pictures says the title Slaughter High was better than the movie itself. I was actually hoping for a bit more slaughtering than old high school buddies hanging out.
So, I don't agree with that. I think there's plenty of slaughtering.
Here's one. I know this is usually your thing, but I saw one that really resonated with me on Rotten Tomatoes. There's Rob Hunter from Film School Rejects. Quote, not available.
Yeah.
There's a couple like that.
Yeah, there is.
What's the deal with that? You
I
gotta pay
think
for that or something?
I think because the links that had the original articles have gone away.
I don't normally get on
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. I guess I was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
that's
don't
the only
normally
one.
get on
So
there.
I went down a little lower here, and you got some audience reviews. So I was going to dig into them a little bit. So Sylvester K, a quote-unquote super reviewer, apparently,
Oh, I'm sure he's super.
he says, "Oh my gosh, who made this awful film that surprisingly featured male frontal nudity?" I don't want to read much more beyond that because there's some spoilers there that they reveal, which we'll get into a little bit.
The thing I like about that is I didn't realize that "gosh" is capitalized.
Yes. So
Yeah.
he obviously believes in the mighty gosh.
Yeah, he definitely serves at the foot of the mighty gosh.
Oh my gosh. Somebody said one time, he said, if you don't believe in gosh, you'll go to heck. Something like that.
So Lafay, F.
What? You want to try this again?
Lafay?
Lafay, yeah.
Well, there's no...
Anton LaFay?
It looks like cafe, but there's no...
Yeah, I know.
It's an L.
Is it supposed to be like...
So how would you say Lafay? No.
Lafay.
Laugh?
Just say LaFay.
Okay,
and get it done.
Lafay F. Again, another quote-unquote super reviewer.
What the...
Uncomfortable and oddball school massacre horror flick. Like many of those flicks, adult actors are portraying teenagers who play a sleazy and nasty prank on the class geek Marty.
Yeah.
My favorite bits were the cheesy music playing during the gym workout scene and the hilarious jump scare when the girl grabs her boyfriend's shoulder and says, "I gotta pay." The setting looks more like an abandoned hospital than a school. Come on, a bathtub and a bed inside a school. We're going to get into that.
We'll get into that. This reviewer obviously didn't see the end of the movie.
Yeah, the deaths around those was cool enough, but it's not the ultimate high school slaughter film as the cover portrays. Speaking of the cover, can I say something?
Yeah,
cover's
please do.
awesome.
That's what
The
we're here
cover
for.
was awesome, and
Yeah.
I have clear memories of seeing that in the
Me
video
too.
store.
Yeah.
Clear
Me too.
memories.
Yeah. It
So-
really stands out. Well, that's the thing. Like, that's what I've seen, like, documentaries on that with box art, where it was an art, and
Yeah.
the whole purpose was to draw your attention to these movies,
Yeah.
and now it's just like freaking clip art.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Is that what they call it? Clip art?
Well, it was a thing.
Photoshop, or
Yeah.
it's just lazy and uninspired.
And a lot of them are just, they have templates that they follow. And
Yes,
it's kind of
yeah.
Like the one that just has like the main star in the front and then the other faces. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
I hate that.
It's so bland.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, is that a cherry bomb in the skeleton's hand?
Yeah.
I always thought it was an apple, and I just looked at it again. It looks like a
Well,
cherry bomb.
It's like an actual cherry.
Yeah, I
Bomb.
think you're right. I always assumed it was,
It's got the long fuse.
yeah, but I assumed that maybe it was an apple
With a fuse.
in the vein of a cherry bomb, but
Yeah.
it does look more like a cherry now that I'm really looking at
I also don't know why he's wearing his cap and gown, because that never happens in the movie at all.
What's well?
Who needs
He's
context?
not really in the movie at all. If
No.
we're being fair, I don't. Maybe he. I don't know.
True.
Well, there's elements of different characters in him, so maybe it's a hodgepodge of.
Yeah, but I that was one of like that is certainly an iconic movie cover for sure. It's like one you see, you don't forget. And
I like you. I remember seeing that all the time at the video store.
Yeah, for sure.
I also saw this movie on TV, edited to hell, because I've said before I didn't have cable as a kid. We just had regular TV. So one of the UHF channels had this movie playing on like Sunday afternoon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw this when I was really young, and it kind of Justin's cracking open a brew. It kind of stuck with me.
It's Coke.
Again, well, whatever.
Cocaine.
Yeah, a whole can of cocaine. It just really kind of stuck with me because it was one of the earlier slashers that I ever saw.
Yeah.
And then for years I didn't see it again. Mm-hmm. But now I've seen it multiple times.
Yeah, I swear when this movie was selected, I think Mike, you picked it.
Yep.
I swore.
Ask the audience. I'm wearing the shirt. They can all see it.
Yeah.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
I have a. Well, I thought I had a distinct memory of watching this film like years ago on like Cinemax or something.
Yeah.
Having watched it again, though, I have doubts if that was the same movie I'm thinking of. So I'm trying to think what.
Was it like Return to Horror High or something? There's like a billion. Or like Cutting Class,
Prom
maybe?
Night. Prom Night 2.
I don't know. I'll have to investigate further. But if it is the same movie, then my mind has changed so much from then and now to now because it did not feel like the same movie. And I was having trouble remembering.
Well, I have an interesting question.
Yes.
Because, Mike, you said you've seen this like edited so many times before you actually saw.
I only saw it the time that I saw it. It was edited. I couldn't tell you. I just know that like all the violence was cut out. What stood out to me, like I can clearly remember the first time watching this was the beer scene.
Oh yeah.
But it cuts away before the end of that. We'll get into that later. But
my question was, I didn't know how shocked you were after seeing it edited. That like when you see my man's hog there dragging across.
Yeah, that actually was probably pretty. Because that's not really typical for these kind of movies.
No.
It's you usually just see boobs.
Yeah. And they like open with that, so I was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
it's gonna be like that.
Yeah. It's pretty. It's just he's hanging some dong there, man.
So let's get into then before the show here. We talked briefly over the last couple of days about how tough that scene was to watch. So you have this Marty character who obviously is, what would you call him?
He's like
a stereotypical nerd, but
geeky guy, like
But he's like super smart because he's working in the the chemistry lab or whatever.
Working with chemistry sets.
I don't know how smart he is when he puts like that acid like up on the edge. He's like, let's just balance this here.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know why I would turn Canadian all of a sudden.
That's Canadian.
or Swedish. Well, I think the first time was more Canadian, and then it turned into Swedish because I exaggerated it even more.
You're doing a world tour in your head right now.
So that was the first thing I thought. I'm like, come on, man, you're just asking for it, teetering that.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Acid right on the edge. Yeah,
well, it's like a blatant setup.
Well, I feel like the whole time there's all these setups, and he like narrowly misses like all these things. Like, I guess they just set that up for no reason. And then when this shit does go down, he hits like every single one of those things all the way down the line.
It's like Mousetrap, the game.
So
or Rube Goldberg.
Let's talk about a little before we get too into the film itself. Is the crux of this film is based on that. It's based on bullying. It's based on high school.
It's an extreme prank gone wrong, which that's the catalyst for multiple slashers.
Yeah, but I will say, and Justin, I'm sure you have, you may have things to add here, but I'm watching this movie, it was a bit difficult for me to stomach some of that. And I know it's a movie, and I know it's setting up a slasher film and a horror villain. I get all that.
Well,
but
I think in this movie it's particularly brutal. Like, I mean, he is
and relentless.
Yeah.
It's like they just keep going and going. They just don't let up.
Escalates. And none of it is really harmless at all.
No.
And I think
from the get.
Yeah.
I think he's like very likable too. Like I remember watching, I was like, I like this guy. Let me see what else he's in.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and then we'll get to that too.
Yeah.
Unless you want to.
Well, we can dive into it now because I was just as surprised because I did the same thing because I watched it with my wife Amanda and we both felt like we had seen him before. Let me bring his name up.
It's
Simon Scuddamore.
Simon Scuddamore.
Okay, so
which is funny to me because he spells it
Scuddamore.
But I think the real spelling is just one D, but his stage name has two Ds. I read that on Wikipedia. Yeah, it's like, well, that's not much of a stage name. You just added a D. I'm not, whatever, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
It's just a weird little thing I saw.
Yeah, I see that alternate name, Simon Scuddamore with just one D.
Yeah, see, it's
I
weird.
wonder if I was unintentional. I wonder if like when they were signing up for something, they wrote his name wrong.
Yeah, somebody spelled it wrong.
I have a perfect example of that. My kitten, Lilith.
Oh, that took a hard left.
Well, no. we just took her to the vet, and her name is Lilith. How would you spell Lilith?
You put me on the spot there, buddy.
L-I-L-I. Is there two L's or one L?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Should be one. Yeah. Generally speaking, Lilith is Lilith. But the vet, actually it was the SPCA.
What'd you ever put down? Jesus.
No. Originally, when they spayed,
I took Lilith to SPCA.
I took her to the taxidermist.
They spayed her. The SPCA spayed her originally, and they wrote her name and gave her shots, initials, all that stuff. They spelled it Lillith. So there you go. It's just a spelling error.
Maybe they thought she was a rapper. Lil Lith.
I guarantee that's what this situation was.
Probably.
Which makes me feel even worse for Simon.
Yeah.
It's like the dude gets his big break in a movie, and you can't even spell his flipping name right.
Yeah, well, let's get into what happened to him since we're talking about him.
Did anyone know before this? I found out.
No.
I found out watching it within the last couple of weeks.
I think when I watched this the first time, I think I knew and then totally forgot because I did the same thing. I looked it up. Oh, look, there's the Pieces poster.
Yeah.
I think I looked it up and I saw it and then totally forgot. And when I looked it up again, it was like the same exact thing over again. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's depressing.
So anyway, he was just to fill everybody in who may not be aware. First of all, he was born April 15th, 1956 in London. He was the son of James and Pauline Scuddamore and had two brothers. He worked at a school for deprived children.
Wow.
His sole acting role is in a movie, which that we're talking about now, Slaughter High. That was his one and only
film credit.
He died of an apparent intentional drug overdose.
See, I couldn't find how he died. Okay.
Now, according to IMDb, he committed suicide shortly after Slaughter High was released, but the math doesn't seem to work out.
I thought it was shortly after it started production or something.
I'll tell you this. In the special features, the one director that they're interviewing, he said he died a few days after he finished filming his scenes.
Okay.
So it was during production, but he was wrapped.
So post-production hadn't even really started.
They were still in production.
Now, can you freaking imagine? I mean, look, I know you see these stories all the time. You know,
Sure.
the Brandon Lee, you know, those kind of stories where you have a guy who dies, a massive part of a film, Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
And the film's not even complete yet.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to be really difficult for the cast and crew.
Sure, for the morale.
Especially a film like this where it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, how was there something in this film or in the experience of this film that drove him to that point? Did he have regrets afterwards? I mean, he put it all out there.
And I thought the same thing, Pat. Like, my thoughts were along the same line. Did something during the course of filming this, like, trigger him?
Mm-hmm.
I just read somewhere, or it was probably IMDb because I didn't really read a whole lot on this, but that like his mother said that because people suspected the same thing, but they said his mother said that he, like, filming this was one of the happiest times of his life or something like that. Or
that makes me happy to hear.
Yeah,
because I just wasn't sure. It seemed too. I don't know. It just seemed too. It had to be connected. Like, it's just the vibe I got. I'm like,
yeah.
But then again, I mean, that's, not fair for me to jump to conclusions like that. But
yeah, because, I mean, you never know what makes someone tick and what he was going through previous to all this.
I don't know. It just hit me in a really weird way because I felt bad for his character. I felt really bad for his character. And then when I looked him up, the actor, because like I said, me and my wife thought we recognized him. I looked him up, and then it hit me like a bag of bricks. I'm like, Jesus God.
Yeah, it was a double whammy.
Yeah, and then I felt like I already felt bad for Marty. Now I felt horrible for Simon, and I'm like, how are those guys, like, are they walking the same path here? Like, what?
And I gotta say, like, seeing so many of these, like, slashers where the bullying is the catalyst for the like, revenge story or the prank gone wrong.
Yeah.
This one's particularly brutal because they do multiple things to him, like we already said, and they're just nasty to him. They just set him up, and
even when they get busted and everything, and it's like, all right, we'll just it's like, all right, it's over and done with. Just let it go. They keep going back. Like, they go through these elaborate measures just to keep going after him.
So, just in closing there, Simon Scuddamore, let's give props to him.
Yeah, man.
And it's unfortunate.
It's a shame.
28 years old.
He could have had a career, man.
And this film was pretty much set up for a sequel.
Yeah.
It's kind of, disappointing in that aspect. Obviously, that's small potatoes compared to the big picture, but it's just unfortunate that any of that had to happen. It just makes you wonder what people deal with in real life. That it's just horrible.
Yeah.
Now let's get to something positive.
Yeah.
Sure. Harry Manfredini, I don't think I realized until I started watching this time around that he did the score.
Yes.
Which was great. I've always loved his... No, it's not. The score's not great.
It's great. It's great and awful.
It's great that he is involved. Yeah. I've always loved him, obviously, for his Friday the 13th stuff.
Absolutely.
But there's very much a Friday the 13th vibe in so much of this that...
It's so similar.
Yeah. But the main little... The hook, if you will... is by the end of the movie was absolutely maddening to me. I'm like, I get it. I think what Harry did here is he was trying to come up with another iconic Jason thing. You have
Yeah.
It is like, what can I come up with that's going to be just as iconic?
Well, he's pretty close. You know what else is now you're talking about that? We were watching. They had like the Mutilator's been on like repeat.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, the music. The theme to ridiculous. We were watching
Going on spring break or whatever. It's bad. Have you ever seen that one, Pat?
No.
It's actually not a bad movie.
The kill and stuff are really gruesome and stuff. I like it.
It's not bad.
The music in that is like
the whole opening credits scene where they're driving in that song.
We were watching it and Sarah was like, I think the guy who did the opening, the opening scene for Full House did this because they're all like piled into like a convertible. It's like his happy upbeat music, and
weird.
It's like it's crazy. But the juxtaposition, which is like that crazy, like goofy stuff, and then he's like just savage, like death scenes are just like hilarious. Like I love it.
That's another one you should check out, definitely, Pat.
Yeah, I'll put it on the list.
Are you writing these down?
No. So,
Terror Train, The Mutilator.
So after this horrific prank goes wrong with this, actually, which involves full frontal male nudity.
Does a horrific prank ever go right?
Well, depends on what side of it you're on.
True.
I kid, of course. But this particular prank was horrible. Like, they lead him into the locker room. Oh, we have to mention Caroline Munro.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Yes. Who I've talked about it with you guys, but... She was 33 and playing a high school student.
Yeah, and it was pretty clear.
And the other ones were all like in their 20s. Mm-hmm. She was clearly older than them, but they were all too old as well.
Yeah.
But
at least they were in the ballpark.
She was leagues beyond appropriate age.
Yeah.
I think that's not unheard of though. Like they always have like people in their 20s playing like high school kids and stuff.
Sure.
And I'm like, and growing up I didn't really think anything of it, but now it's kind of weird to me. Like
you notice it now, but when you're younger you don't. Like I think when you're younger than the age they are, you're like, oh, well, that's what we're going to be like in high school.
Yeah. I'm going to have a full beard.
But
yeah, it was
a beer belly.
I definitely, Amanda and I chuckled at that when
Yeah.
Caroline Munro is playing this voluptuous high school girl.
Yeah.
It was like, But anyway, so this prank, it was horrible because then, if I'm remembering correctly, they led him
She leads him into the girls' locker room.
Yeah, which has like 2 showers in it. Or
Yeah, and
In a bathtub.
Yeah. And they tells him to get in the stall and get undressed, and she'll get ready too, and
yeah,
they'll,
and then
they'll do the nasty.
somebody knocks on the door, and she's like, "Quick, hide in here!" And she pulls the curtain shut, and then she's all like, "Oh, hey," some female name, Sandy, I don't know. And really, it's like a whole group of girls and guys,
cameras and masks and signs and
yeah.
The obviously somebody brought a car battery with some wire or
Yes,
something.
right.
Some kind of electrical contraption. But anyway, so this whole thing, they then pull the curtain, and he's standing there naked,
completely naked, full frontal.
Yeah,
brave man.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, I'd do it, but
please don't. No,
I'm doing it right now.
Sit down.
True.
Anybody see my helicopter yet?
It just shows how exposed someone, like, and he kind of puts you there and makes you feel more vulnerable.
Yeah.
A vulnerable position.
Oh yeah, I totally get why they did it, and I totally give him props for doing it.
Super brave for doing that.
But it made me, I guess it achieved its job because it made me feel that much more horrible for him.
So then they start tormenting him and mocking him.
Yeah.
And was he trying to? Is it him that grabs onto the towel rack?
Yeah,
and
was
he gets
trying
zapped
to get a towel.
Yeah.
I guess he was going
to cover
for a towel,
himself. Yeah, and they had the wires hooked up to that, so when he grabbed it, he gets zapped.
Yeah.
And then they grab him, flip him upside down,
Give him a swirl.
and you see his taint.
Yeah.
God, wow. And they give him a swirly. They're like dunking his head in the toilet, and then the gym teacher or gym coach comes in or whatever.
Come on. He handled that so horribly.
Yeah, he's like, detention. We're gonna do some push-ups.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did handle that kind of stuff differently back then. I mean, maybe not that extreme bullying. They would have handled a little more severely than that, but
I was actually surprised that the coach played by Mark Smith. Is it?
that's a very generic
Mark Smith.
name.
Yeah, I was surprised he did a lot of voice acting for like anime in like the 80s and 90s.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like a lot of stuff. Like I wasn't ever a huge anime guy, but there's some stuff I really like, and it was like the stuff I first discovered when I was a teenager.
We just lost that whole demographic. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah. What demographic?
The anime watchers.
Oh yeah.
All our listeners that love anime are gone now.
Why?
Because you dissed it.
No, I didn't diss it.
You said, I don't really like anime.
No, I didn't say that.
No, you said, actually what you said was, I freaking despise anime, and I hate anybody who watches it. I heard it.
I just said it's a way of calling. It's a way of drawing out the weak. So, no, I'm just kidding. I like it. I just don't. I don't know it that well.
No,
Yeah.
neither do I. There's specific ones that I know,
Yeah,
but
like I know
not
Akira, Ghost in the Shell, and stuff.
Right,
Like, everybody
the
knows
major
that, yeah.
ones, right.
And there's like Vampire Hunter D and stuff like that. But,
and I'm a fan of all of those, but that's like anime level, lowest level, whatever the lowest level would be.
So hold on, Mike. My notes say she was 37 at the time. Is that true? What did you say? 33?
I thought 33.
she was in her 30s. I know.
She's
that.
definitely in her 30s.
Yeah. So, but before we move on, though,
Which
we have to
none
talk,
of us are anymore.
We have to talk a little more about her. For anyone who isn't familiar with her, I guess she is the only actress to have been signed to a contract with Hammer Films.
Yeah, she's in a bunch
didn't
of
know
Hammer
that.
films. I didn't know. I don't think I knew that part, but yeah, I knew she was in Hammer films.
Now, my notes.
Not MC Hammer,
Mike,
kids.
put that helicopter away.
I just hit the mic with my wiener.
I like how you said not MC Hammer kids, like any kids would know who the hell MC Hammer was right now. Well, I guess he was in that Super Bowl commercial last year.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know who he is. They're probably like, who's that guy?
Yeah. Like someone's grandparent had to tell them who it was.
So my notes say she was the only actress to have been signed to a contract with Hammer Films, but it might be the only actor in general.
I don't know. Maybe
male
Christopher
or
Lee
female.
did. He was in a lot of them.
Yeah, that might be the case.
I don't know.
Peter Cushing?
Peter
Say
Cushing.
Cushion.
Peter Cushing for the cushion.
Peter couch cushions. So yeah, some of the movies she was in: Maniac, obviously,
Yeah.
Golden Voyage of Sinbad,
That's right.
Spy Who Loved Me, Dracula A.D. with Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
That rhymed.
Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter.
Oh, she's in that? I need to see that again. I like that movie.
I watched it about a month or so ago.
Did you?
And I got about 10, 20 minutes in and I fell asleep. But it was pretty cool what I did see.
That's
Well,
usually,
that's on next week's episode.
that's usually about how far I get into any movies these days.
Yeah.
I can't keep myself awake.
Unless it's porno.
Wow.
Henry watches it 10 to 20 minutes at a time anyway.
If that. And then I fall right to sleep.
Oh, she was in Star Crash too, that's right.
Yes, she is in that. So she's in a shitload of movies. Let's put it that way.
She's definitely well respected in the genre.
Absolutely, yeah.
And yeah, the fact she was in it, the
vibes.
fact she's in it is cool. I mean, no wonder, even if she was 37 at the time,
Yeah.
if I was making this film and at the time period and had a chance to get her, I would absolutely cast her as a high schooler.
Yeah, and it makes sense because again, this movie was filmed in London and she's English, so they weren't going to get like I don't know. I got nothing. But what I did also read was, if not all, most of the other actors were all from an acting school, but a lot of them were American. They were over at this British acting school.
I thought one of them was American.
No, I think
a lot of them were.
I think
okay.
a good portion of them are all actually legitimate American. I'm sure not all of them were, but they got a good chunk of actual Americans from this British
I'm gonna fact
acting
check you.
school.
I would.
It's from the special features,
I
man.
mean, you can't trust him.
All right, so already the first guy I checked to, I was like, I'm gonna nail this dude because I thought this guy was, because I thought his accent was pretty bullshit.
Uh-huh.
It's like New Yorkish accent. Or
Yeah,
Jersey.
but yeah, he's from
New York.
he's from Massachusetts. So I was
Wow.
not,
That's just south of Liverpool.
Yeah.
so you're right.
No nudity for Caroline Munro. I don't think she's ever done nudity, has she? Not full nudity. I know she's done scantily clad, but I don't
know. Not sure.
I'm pretty sure that's like one of her things is, and maybe you
was
could
it
fact check
always
that
a
there,
thing,
but-
or was it like she got to a certain point and was like, I'm not doing that anymore?
No, I think
Okay,
from what
maybe.
I saw. Now again, it's not like I did a deep dive into this, but I was under the impression that was always very big for her, that she would not take on a role if it involved nudity.
That's commendable.
Which you see, I mean, you look at a film like this where you have, the bathtub scene, the bed scene, lots of nudity, and not a single time is she involved.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Even the scene where she's seducing him, she doesn't get undressed at all.
Are you looking into that, Justin? Or are you playing Tetris?
He's playing. He's playing Friday the 13th. The game. He's completely checked out.
So yeah, why does it always have to be the janitor the first to go?
Yeah, and like, what would he do? Nothing.
I felt bad for him. He seemed to me like a very nice janitor.
Yeah, he did.
Like he cared about the school.
Well, and then he was the caretaker.
Yeah.
He turns into the caretaker.
Yeah.
Because the school's closed down.
So how many years passed there?
It doesn't really specify, but does it really matter? Because
So Caroline
we'll get to
Munro
that.
was 47 as they.
Yeah. she rolled up for a 5-year reunion in a walker.
Yeah, so time passes obviously from when this prank gone wrong leading to a horrific accident.
I didn't even get into what actually happened.
Well, no, we didn't. So
We'll leave it to the imagination, but he gets pretty wrecked.
pretty wrecked, yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Marty.
He basically gets hit with acid and
Burnt with a
burnt
pipe.
Flame.
Yeah, that flaming hot pipe, and
Yeah.
he grabs it. That, like, half of his face is,
That looked really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, and then he grabs it, and he just, his reaction is like, holy crap, this
Blood-curdling.
is actually, like, brutal.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this movie's very mean-spirited.
And then as he's being wheeled out, they're all just kind of still gawking over him.
Yeah, and then Caroline Munro bends down to him and is like, I'm so sorry. She didn't want that to happen. She's still a horrible person for embarrassing him. She wasn't part of She knew about the other part.
She was definitely part of it.
The other part,
She's
though.
the one that lured him in there.
No, I'm talking about the second half where he actually gets hurt. But she did know. I don't know if she knew what they were doing. But yeah, he gets burned by acid, burned up, and they're carting him out. And she bends down and I'm like, I'm sorry. And and there's a jump scare where he kind of like and like grabs her, and then she wakes up. And it's years later.
Yeah, which is interesting. We can circle back around to that later.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Yeah.
So
she's at this point she's a, I guess, semi-successful actress. She's got a nice little apartment or whatever, and she's on the phone with her agent, and she's refusing to take a film role because I think they required nudity, and she was refusing. She's like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then they talk about they're having a high school reunion. Like, one of the other girls comes over, and she's talking about it, blah, blah, blah. And that girl's saying...
So they didn't say how many years, though.
No, I don't think they specify. So the girl that... I don't know that character's name. She comes to her apartment and is like, oh, yeah, the reunion. Well, I'm going to so-and-so's parents. I might not make it. She's like, all right, well... I'll duck out early and I'll be there. I just might be late. So you get the idea that they're having this high school reunion.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to different characters like driving there, and the one guy. By the way, the jock, who's like he looks like a dorky dude. He's the guy with the New Yorkish accent.
Oh,
that you just looked up. The coach refers to him as Team Captain Skippy Pollack. Skippy Pollack? Does that sound like a team captain name?
Well, he better be damn good on the field, because to overcome a name like Skippy
Pollack.
I don't know. That's kind of got...
I mean, look, if I went to school with a guy named Skippy Pollack, I mean, it would be kind of bad.
I mean, maybe in Britain, that's like a powerful name.
It makes me think of that
lost
story.
In translation a little bit.
I don't know if maybe if that's their version of what an American jock's name would be.
Yeah,
but it makes me think of, and Justin, maybe you know where this is from. I remember hearing once, I don't know if it was a true story or if it was somebody telling a joke. Somebody was talking about a telemarketer that called them. And apparently this telemarketer, they were clearly of Indian descent. And their name was the good old American name, Abraham Lincoln.
Wow.
So it was like, hello, Abraham Lincoln here.
Jesus.
So I guess when they selected their name, they picked a good old-fashioned American name.
Yeah.
And so their name was Abraham Lincoln.
Pretty awesome.
Wow. That's pretty badass, honestly.
Yeah. But if I got a call from an Indian telemarketer and he told me his name was Abraham Lincoln,
yeah.
I never heard that story.
I would lose my shit.
That's impressive.
But anyway, maybe it's a similar.
That is a power name, though. Skippy Pollack is not a power name.
Yeah. Maybe we should be ashamed as Americans that that's what they think is a tough jock name.
Skippy
Pollack.
I mean, he does call him Skip later, too, but he calls him Team Captain Skippy Pollack.
So, I wonder if he was mocking him though by calling him Skippy. Because that's the only time he's ever called Skippy. He's called Skipper.
I'm sure, yeah.
It may have been a ridicule.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, sarcasm.
I don't know. That line just really struck me.
Yeah. I bet you that's what it was.
Because he's the one that's wearing the mask, and he pulls it off, and the coach is like, Team Captain Skippy Pollack.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so now they're at their reunion here. So real quick, before we get in...
The only ones that show up to this reunion are the ones who were involved in the prank against Marty.
Yeah.
They realized, there was where is everybody?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so again, and oh, that's right too. They all had their pictures were hanging up. They had lockers with their names on it.
Yep. So they break into the school.
Yeah, they break in because the school itself is
shut down. It's I think the janitor mentions that it's going to be demolished.
Yeah.
Right now he's the caretaker.
Mm-hmm. So this was the first time how long did the funnel quarter water prank game, where you put the funnel in your pants and you try to, you put the quarter on your head.
Did you think that went on too long?
No. My question is, how long has that been around?
Oh, I've never seen that before.
Is this something that this film kind of brought to the table, or was this around before? Because I've seen it recently. I've seen people do it here and there, but I never knew it was in this film from 1986.
I think it's 6.
I thought that was intriguing.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
So it makes you wonder if that was...
So at this point, we're at the point where obviously from this point forth, it's all a revenge flick. It's basically Marty lured the bullies, the ones that caused him bodily harm and embarrassment and screwed him up royally. They're the only ones there. They're the targets, and there's like 8 or 10 of them. There's actually kind of a large group. Usually, in these kind of movies, it's like 4 to 6 people, but there's like 8 or 10 of them.
Yeah.
So from this point forth, it's straight slasher movie. They're all getting killed off.
Yeah, picked off.
Yeah.
It gets fun.
And some of them are really interesting.
So far we have the bubble guts.
Yeah.
The bubble guts.
So
that's a good one.
They're all hanging out, and they're just drinking beers and whatnot. And then one of them, what's it called? Shotgun and a beer?
Yeah.
And then he starts...
He's like,
right away, he's like, oh,
I don't feel so good. My stomach.
Which, that would make a good gif, too, of him just go...
Oh, yeah, it would. So then he, opens his shirt, and you start to see, his stomach pulsating.
Yeah.
And
it's, roiling around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's, a pop.
Yeah.
It kind of sprays a little bit.
Like a pimple.
I actually, in the special features, the one... I forget which director they talked to. They only talked to one of the 3. I wish I could remember which guy it was. He says that actually didn't fully work, but they only had one take with it, so they just got what they got. It was supposed to be more explosive.
But it looked almost more real.
It was actually, I think it's fine. I think it works well.
So it was supposed to be more like an explosion.
It was probably more like a big...
It was more of a ooze.
Yeah.
Kind of,
I mean, there was a little bit of a pop.
Gutsy ooze.
But, yeah, that's a cool kill. I like that kill.
It was, yeah. On my Pat's Points notes here, I have guts exploding, cool effects.
Yeah, it's on my list, too. I actually made a pretty good list. So we'll just go through some of the kills now, because there's not really a whole lot of plot.
Yeah, well, then you have the girl gets the blood all over, so then she feels the need to take a bath in the middle of this.
Goes to take a bath.
Yeah, gets fully naked.
Well, let's just also point out the fact that there's a bathtub in this school and also running water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This condemned school still has
so she decides to take a bath, and then acid starts coming out of the faucet, or the, spigot. Right?
I wouldn't even want to eat anything that was sitting in this dump, let alone get naked and hop in a tub.
Yeah.
So she's taking an acid bath, basically, and then there's a glorious stop-motion body melt.
Yeah, that looked pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, for what it is.
Oh, when she first gets up, the effects on her
you're
stuff,
talking about that.
Good,
No, I'm talking about, her skin starts to...
Oh, yeah, that was...
it's pretty chintzy looking.
So on my notes here, I have... And again, this is before we get all the way through the film. Obviously, I'm just seeing this in the moment. I said, did Homegirl really have to get a full bath to wash her face off? Because once she took her clothes off, primarily it was on her face. The guts and the blood.
Yeah.
I would have just, do that shit at the sink.
Just get this, cup your hands.
But she wants to get fully naked, and I mean, she did caress her breasts.
Yeah, a little too much.
A little too much.
A little strange.
Yeah.
Maybe that's her stress thing she does when she's stressed.
We'll swing back around.
Sometimes people pull on their ear or something.
We'll swing back around to that.
Okay.
Pull on their ear.
When we get toward the end of this, we'll swing back around.
So yeah, the face melt, I have 3 exclamation points next to it. I thought that was pretty... I mean, look, it was very
weird, but...
very chintzy Indiana Jones.
Yes.
But... in that same vein.
The Indiana Jones one was amazing.
Yeah, but so this one was done in a similar fashion, but not nearly
as well executed. Yeah. I do want to point out that the interiors were filmed at a grammar school.
Okay.
It was set to be demolished, so they were allowed to, when the fire comes through the doorway and all, they were allowed to do that in there because it was being abolished. Being demolished. So they could do whatever they wanted. Yeah. They could damage it and stuff. And then the other thing was the exteriors were an asylum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Little tidbits.
I wonder
there.
if that was done out of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of wink and a nod.
So when they admonished the school...
Oh yeah, what's
Did we talk about the original title?
Oh no, we didn't.
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be April Fool's Day, but the other film, April Fool's Day, was coming out the same year, so they changed the title. So
Weird.
it's mentioned multiple times.
Well, I'm glad they didn't get that title because it doesn't really.
Wait, in this one?
Yeah.
I think it would fit because they're pranking him was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, I guess it's implied because they do say April Fools several times in this movie.
Yeah, and then the whole thing is about him getting them back, and even part of the plot of them trying to escape until midnight or till noon is
April Fools. Which is did they make that up for this movie?
No, that's a.
Is it a thing?
It's a British thing.
Because that's in my notes.
Yeah, they didn't realize that it was.
It wouldn't translate to U.S.
Yeah, that we don't celebrate. They celebrate it differently than we do.
Yeah.
Wait, so how do they celebrate? Tell me this.
It ends at noon.
Yeah, and if you pull a prank after noon, then you're the fool.
So that's what they were saying in this. They have to survive. All we have to do is survive till noon. And I was like, is that a thing? Did they make it up for this movie? But thank you, Justin, for clarifying.
All
That's
right,
a British
no, that's
thing.
cool.
I just got that from IMDb. So
YMDB?
YMDB, the Internet Movie Database.
So yeah, she's taking an acid bath right now. Oh, there's the face melt. I mean, yeah, it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
You know what I loved? At the one point, there was a bunch of that one dude. I mean, I forget his name.
I don't know
We got
any other
Frank.
names.
We got Skip.
There's a Joe in there.
Well, I know
think.
Skip.
Joe, Frank. Yeah, so we have all these
Two of them
guys.
look the same. I couldn't tell
those
them.
two right
those
there.
two, yes. They're even almost dressed. I mean, their shirts are different, but barely.
Well, it's funny too because the one's that girl's boyfriend, and then the other one is the one that she
Cheats on him with and it's like
Yeah, so I think Frank must be the boyfriend because oh no, maybe no, I'm sorry. Maybe Joe is the boyfriend.
I don't know.
Because here's
Joe
what happened.
is.
I love the scene where the little blonde says, "I'm scared, Frank." And he says, "It's all right, baby. Come here." And she goes over to the other guy.
Oh yeah.
yes.
Like she walks right by him and goes and embraces the other guy.
Yeah, that kind of gives you that little, not really so much of a hint. Like it throws that right in your face. Oh, she's more interested in him, and she's married. They're married. They mentioned that.
Oh, that's right. They are married.
Yeah.
And have a kid.
So
when they
Frank
run
and
into him
Stella?
on the road, they're like, I see you finally made an honest woman of her or whatever. So that, they're married.
Oh, dude, yeah, there's some good stuff. So Frank and Stella, they go up, they find a bed. Again, it's like, okay, your friends start getting picked off here. You're going to have time to take a bath. You're going to have time to go, find a bed.
Yeah.
Where would they have a bed set up?
Maybe it was supposed to be like the nurses.
Okay.
True.
That would kind of make sense.
Yeah.
So Frank and Stella find the bed, and they're up there, and Stella's saying, "Talk dirty to me," and all this.
He's all like, tits. He's like... he's like,
Ass.
he's like saying like these like random words, like random dirty words, but not really talking dirty.
W-2s.
So
Fiddly sticks.
W2.
So they're going at it up there, but in the middle of all this, the unknown killer, it's assumed.
It's pretty obvious.
But the unknown quote unquote killer in their jester mask?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how you would describe it?
Skip originally wore
Yeah.
during the prank.
So the unknown killer, I guess, then electrocutes, hooks up power to the bed.
And they're holding on to the
And it's
metal
one of the
frame.
greatest.
Yeah, that is one of the greatest kills in
And
the whole thing.
their
great.
faces are phenomenal, and their
And they're
body movements,
Yeah,
like everything about it.
And their
the noises,
vocalizations.
Yeah. And then when it's all over, it cuts back downstairs to the other crew, and one of them says,
Jesus Christ. Stella must have really needed that.
So while all that's going on, the other guy, which either Frank or Joe, I don't know who's who, the other guy who's Stella's husband is working on the lawnmower, trying to get that running. And the plan is to, because they're trapped in the building's all locked. They're all like trapped in there. The plan is to bust through these like wooden doors with the lawnmower and like kind of take off. So he's working on that, trying to fix it. Apparently.
So you're gonna fix a lawnmower to bust through the doors instead of using the tools to take the doors off the hinges?
Yeah, it's that leads to another kill with the lawnmower, which I think is
That was a pretty good one.
That's not bad. It's different. It could have been a little gorier.
Oh, I do like, I will say, we didn't mention this, but several times in this, Skip says, stick together, stick together, stick together. And, like, while these kills are happening, they're just sitting, like, him and, like, the other ones are just sitting in chairs hanging out while the one guy's fixing a lawn, underneath the lawnmower by himself.
And then the other two are upstairs having sex.
Yeah.
The other one's taking a bath.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already dead by this point, but they're all off doing this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, the lawnmower kill, he's underneath the lawnmower, and the unknown killer starts the lawnmower while he's underneath, and then he, I guess he takes it off of the jack or whatever's holding it up. So the guy underneath holding it with his arms, and I thought this was a nice little touch. He gets a blade or something, or a knife, and slits his arms as he's holding it up. So he drops it on himself, and the motor blades are going. So he it churns his guts basically. And you just see a little bit of blood splash. That could have been a little. That kill's cool, but I wish it was a little gorier.
Yeah.
I think that had a little more potential.
Yeah.
But it's still a creative kill. Yeah, the kills in this are actually pretty decent for the most part.
I agree. But I guess that's what happens when you have a director who's dedicated to just that.
Yeah.
That's true. Oh, another little fun fact I learned from the special features. Caroline Munro was also in an Adam Ant video that was filmed at the same asylum.
Oh, really?
Before this. Yeah. I guess she featured in an Adam Ant video that was also filmed there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I had no idea. You could tell clearly, even though a lot of the effects were on point, just very well done, practical horror movie gore and makeup effects.
Yeah, it's well crafted.
Yeah, there's still elements of this obviously which feel rushed and subpar as far as like just overall acting at points. And maybe that's what they were going for, but it definitely seems that some of the elements of the film far outweigh and exceed other elements in the film.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say the gore effects are one of the leading
the kills in this are the draw for this one, for sure. And that's typical of most slashers of this era.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want to see. That's your money shots. We didn't mention there's a Jason Voorhees reference.
Is there?
Yeah, one of them pops out wearing a hockey mask.
Oh, shit.
And he's like, "What are you, fucking Jason Voorhees?" or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. While there's some very Jason Friday 13th esque music playing.
I thought
it's a jump scare.
That mask looked more like
it's a different mask.
What was his name from Mad Max? Lord Humongous.
Lord Humongous.
Yeah.
Yes, it's more like that style of mask, but still a reference. And somebody actually says Jason Voorhees.
Wow.
I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I did notice too. I can't remember. Maybe it was the janitor or the groundskeeper, custodian, whatever they called him.
I think that's what he was called.
There was that the body drops from above. I forget whose that was, but
Skip.
Was it
the
Skip?
one that was hanging?
Is it Skip?
Yeah,
it was
the one
Skip.
that hangs? Okay.
So there's that one jump scare where it like drops from above, which is very much Friday the 13th.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
where he's planting the bodies.
Yeah.
For scares.
Oh, yeah, that's on my notes here, which I would like to know how you guys feel about this. So the whole time the Marty character, spoilers, the whole time the Marty character is going around killing people, he's wearing this jester mask.
Which Skip originally wore. But to me, it wasn't like they were maintaining some kind of big mystery here. Like, you pretty much know right away what's going on. Yeah.
So my hope was that he would have taken it off sooner. Like, I wanted to see his face. I wanted to see him, his scarred face, and him like looking at them, and show the angst and the joy of murdering them on his face.
Yeah, they could have played with that more.
I just thought
since it isn't really.
But then it makes you wonder. Well, then again, I guess
lawnmower kill
is according to what you saw, Mike. All of his principal shooting was done. He was done.
What the director, whichever one was being interviewed, he said that Simon died days after his scenes were finished shooting.
So I didn't know.
He was wrapped.
Okay.
Now they may have done like reshoots.
Yeah, and maybe that had to do something with why his mask was on so much, because they could have gotten anybody to film those.
Yeah.
scenes. But that was one thing that stuck with me. I wish that we would have seen Marty's face
because
sooner.
of the fact that it's not a mystery at all.
No, it's not.
I don't know. I kind of felt like I felt like it was led a little misdirection. Like it's all set up to be him. It's all set up to be him. And the fact that you don't see his face, you're like, I don't know. Could it be someone else or something? Or
it
like
could have been possible.
Maybe that's the case.
Or something.
I guess I was just
Or a family member.
A family member.
maybe
like
as I was viewing
been done
it,
before.
I didn't have
with
a
Friday 13th music.
Yeah. I didn't have a single doubt that it was him, so
No,
maybe I
neither
wasn't
did
even
I.
thinking misdirection. I was just thinking, all right, I know it's him. He's getting his revenge. Maybe I felt like I wanted to get a little bit of that payoff too.
Yeah.
You know, because I
you're-
did feel so
you're
bad
rooting
for him. Yeah.
You're rooting for him because they're all assholes.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really are.
So I don't know. I just wish that they would have. I thought it watered it down a little bit. I wanted to see
I can
him,
see that, yeah.
You know?
Caroline Munro dated, was it George Dugdale, the one director? Mm-hmm. She was dating him during filming.
Like secretly.
Yes.
Wait, which one now?
Caroline Munro dated George Dugdale, the one director.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they kept it quiet. They didn't tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you? We're watching bed.
We're watching the bed kill.
If you don't even want to watch this movie, look that scene
just
up.
look up that clip.
She goes back to her and she's all burnt up.
Yeah.
Still getting electrocuted.
It's pretty good, man.
It was really good. So, Mike, maybe you saw some of this.
Nah.
Just real quick to backtrack a little to Simon Scuddamore. Apparently, when he worked at the school for deprived children, somewhere along the lines, I saw that he was not available on weekends during filming.
No, I didn't know. I didn't see this.
Because he worked at the school. I don't know. I didn't know if you saw anything about
No,
that. Or
I did not.
Because it sounds like they had to work their
around
schedule
him.
around him.
Yeah.
Which is commendable. Especially, working in that.
Thing, they wouldn't need him a lot on the film, especially since they're, the killer's in a mask anyway.
Again, maybe that's another reason that they left him in a mask.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So they got what they needed, he's not really on screen a lot.
Yeah.
The actor himself,
Yeah.
So I guess it probably wasn't too hard to work around that.
So the theme, I tried to write it down so I would remember it, which clearly I have not.
What, the lyrics?
No, no, not the lyrics, the melody. And all I wrote was T-T ta-ta, T-T ta-ta. Does that ring a bell with anyone?
I don't know what the hell y'all talking about. I don't know, Pat.
We'll all know it when we hear it.
God, I remember learning. I remember learning TTs and tatas back in music class.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I hated that garbage.
T-T ta-ta. T-T.
They used to make us like do like a sing-songy TT tata thing. Mm-hmm. God, tata. All the while we're saying tatas.
T-T tatas. TTs and tatas. Oh, goodness. There it is. There it is. T-T ta-ta.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, I did like the opening theme, that rock song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's cool.
Rocking, yeah.
But now we got a copyright strike.
You don't know who that is?
No, I do not.
One of the things we like to do here at the MacGuffin Guild is we use the film as the MacGuffin itself to spark conversation. So we've covered a lot of this movie. We still have a little bit of the ending that we got to talk about. But for a few moments, I would like to... Let's dive into our own high school careers and where we stood with something like this, with bullying, with... What side of the spectrum were we on? Did we experience anything? I doubt. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm right, but I doubt that any of us dealt with anything to that level.
No.
I'd like to dive into that a little bit, our real life experiences and anything that is something that you looked at as...
So this is like therapy session right now.
Well,
I mean, it may be. I said that almost as a joke, but as I'm saying, I'm like, it very well may be.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because I'm 40 now. Like I don't tend to think about high school very often these days. Yeah. So every now and then, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, for myself. Sorry.
Oh, he just threw up all over.
That's how he emotes.
I just thinking about it just brought up. It made me sick to my stomach and I threw up. My own personal experience. I mean, sure, I experienced more like picking on kind of stuff.
Yeah,
jabbing at because I've always been very small, so people would pick on me for that.
In stature.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You got to clarify.
Yeah. Sorry. I've a small build.
I didn't even notice.
So I know, like, I got picked on for that early on, for wearing glasses, things, the typical stuff. I don't think I ever got like anything extreme, just stupid, normal,
quote unquote, air quotes.
Bullying.
You were never like lured into a bathroom with the promise
by Caroline Munro. By a 37-year-old woman.
A 37-year-old senior. Damn, how many times you got to repeat before they kick you out?
Yeah, no, I honestly nothing stands out in particular. So I think in that respect I was pretty lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty middle of the road as far as popularity. Not really. Like, I wasn't popular, but I wasn't like looked down on like some people were really bad. And I know some people really did have it bad, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's my personal experience.
Justin?
I think, too, because we went to such a small school, that kind of everybody already kind of was like knew each other. Like, there was no like, oh, there's some dorky kid, I don't even know his name. Because I felt like a lot of people, even in your grade, you like, my graduating class was under 100 people.
Yeah.
I think I could
So was
probably
ours,
name
wasn't it?
first
like
and last
98 or
name
something.
every single one of them.
Yeah. I can pretty much almost now probably still name all of them. Full disclosure, I was guilty of mocking a few people here and there. I was never physical, and it was more just like little jabs here and there, and I feel bad about that.
Yeah.
I'm stupid for doing that kind of stuff, but I never got like brutal with it. Not that that's making it all right, but
I guess what it was,
I gave and I got a little bit.
I don't know. I've always thought about the, I don't know, the what ifs and like, what's the butterfly effect or whatever.
Yeah.
No, sure.
I mean, dude, that shit is real.
It is.
It is real. Like, the way you treat people, it comes back.
Yeah.
It does.
And I learned that lesson, and I don't do that to people. I don't belittle them or talk about people or anything. It's why?
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Because it's fun. Are you fucking dumb?
I mean, unless
It's like the greatest thing ever. Like, you feel better about yourself because someone else is lower
unless
than
I
you.
absolutely
I'm just kidding. I think my situation was a little strange because when I originally lived, in Pennsylvania, and then until I was 11, I think. So I lived there, but I had an older brother, and everyone knew my older brother, and he was old enough where kids that were older than me, like, he was older than them, and he was like a sports star and all that stuff, so they kind of looked up to him. So I had like older kids, like kind of like
very
watching
much like
out
me,
for
like
me.
a sports star.
Just exactly. I mean, two sides of the same coin, really. But I kind of felt
Mike's
like
a football.
That's a joke, guys.
Yeah, people knew who I was and stuff like that, and they knew my brother and stuff. But then when we moved down here, and I went to middle school at another school.
New fish.
Yeah, no one knew who the hell I was, and I was in middle school, which is the worst time to be the new kid. Because middle schoolers are I don't care. They're awful.
They're the
Every
worst.
one of them.
Yeah.
Because you're exploring.
I have one of them at home.
Yeah.
He's awful.
Yeah, you're exploring like what you can do, and you're kind of figuring stuff out, and it's like because adults like we rib on each other all the time, but it's like for fun, and you develop that sense of when
You know where the boundaries are and all that.
and you can kind of say something like about Mike's bald head or something, and you see that wince on his face, like oh yeah, and you pull back a little bit.
Yeah, that really gets me.
So, but yeah, but anyway, so then I was in middle school, and that sucked for a couple years, and I hated that school. And then when I moved to your school, then I was like, I started like making friends and stuff like that, and it wasn't as awful, and I was like actually liked it, and then so I don't know. I mean, obviously everyone has their. I think there was one. Actually, this reminded me of it. I totally forgot about it. This movie.
I like this chase scene because the Steadicam is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's 25-minute chase scene.
Yeah, I believe they added that in later.
Yeah, 'cause it was the running
runtime, so they added this chase scene in.
Yeah.
To pad the runtime, but it's pretty cool. The Steadicam.
No, that's a cool little tidbit though that they added that in. That is cool,
and it's worth it. It doesn't feel like it's padding. It feels like it's a typical slasher. The final girl chase scene.
So Justin, you said this reminds this movie or this
the movie
scene?
in general, because I remember one time I was walking down the hallway and I was like really young at this time. It was like my first year at this school, and there was a girl who was a couple years older than me. And she was just like saying...
Was she as old as Caroline Munro?
She was roughly. Give or take about 20 years.
to you, probably, at the time, yeah.
But she was just saying all this stuff like, "Oh, look how handsome you are," and stuff like that. But I knew she was being a shithead because her boyfriend was right there. Like I knew who her boyfriend was.
She was taunting and teasing,
which was kind of fucked up because at the time I was super self-conscious and everything.
Sure,
so I had like a big nose.
Well, everybody in middle school is super self-conscious, whether they admit it or not.
I was in junior high at this point.
Whatever, dude. Don't fucking argue.
Some people don't grow out of that.
And I was 23. But yeah, that kind of was just like stung a little bit.
Sure.
And then,
yeah, like that's the kind of stuff that I would get, you know. Not so much, but like the little picking type of stuff at
it was just, and it was more like, it was less about me and it was more about like a hierarchy. You know what I mean? It was more like, oh, I'm here, and then you like almost like she would think that I would give a shit about her or something like that.
Which is kind of the point of this movie, because they're all like the popular kids bullying the nerd.
Yeah.
I keep doing air quotes and nobody can see that.
Yeah.
Do it closer, maybe it'll hear the wind.
Yeah, it's that, like you said, it's the status.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always a lot of these slashers are that way. It's the popular kids picking on the
But I
non-popular.
think it's a damn shame because based on my experience now being older and
as popular as you are.
Yeah, I'm so popular. I'm not even the most popular guy in this room. But anyway, because of social media, I'm able to see, as we all are, a lot of where our old schoolmates are in life and what they're doing these days. And a lot of people seem to have grown up.
Yeah.
You know, now on to different levels, obviously. Some, you know, are doing better than others, but everybody
some
seems...
have grown out.
Yeah. So everybody seems pretty, you know...
Myself included.
Pretty decent, you know, like more than not. The majority of people have grown into you know, like established adults in some capacity.
And to play off that, when we were in school, I didn't think a lot of them would.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but here's my point.
Because our backwoods little school.
Yeah. My point is this, though. Something that takes place in high school and decisions you make in high school, probably because of your own insecurities.
Sure.
And what you then create in someone else, and you strengthen their insecurities and you make them down on themselves. And that's something that doesn't go away and they carry with them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, it drives me crazy now looking back. And when I see, and maybe that's why, because I'm older now and I have a daughter, so I'm looking at things a little differently. That's why this whole bullying stuff in this film was so hard for me to swallow, because I know it's real. It can be real. Yeah. And the people that are doing it are going to grow out of that bullshit. But the one who's taken the brunt, that's with them. That's with them now. It's a part of their DNA.
I think some of that did affect me in a little way. Like, I didn't have a whole lot of confidence. I mean, I still don't, but I'm definitely a lot better than I was at, you know, through my high school years. Yeah. I just kind of, you know, I stayed with my little group of friends, which you were part of that group, and that was it. Like, I didn't branch out because I was in this little safety zone. Like, oh, these people like me, so I'm just gonna stick here. I'm not gonna go out of my comfort zone. Yeah. Because it probably was partially because of that. Because I was self-conscious about my size, my penis size.
The girth is good. It's the length.
It's like a soda can.
It's the length that's lacking.
But no, you see what I'm saying? Like, I think that did affect, to an extent,
It comes down to his knees, but his knees are about 3 inches from the ground. Just kidding. I don't know how far your knees go.
But anyway.
Oh, she's still running.
Oh my God, this chase has been going on for like 25 minutes. She's not a very good runner.
No.
Maybe they should have showed someone younger who could still run.
She's like, I got 2 bad knees.
Too bad knees.
I'd probably, if I was in this movie, I'd probably look about like she does right
you
now.
know, how fitting. It brings her back into the stall that it all began.
She just hid in the stall that
where it all began.
Marty was originally.
She is a gorgeous lady, though.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, what's it? Look at
For
punching through the glass.
For a Brit. I don't know.
All right, so
I'm a Brit,
so that's good then. So yeah, I think we've all been pretty lucky in that.
Yeah, I think
our
we
school experiences.
I mean, we got a little bit here and there, but I don't think any of us were like relentlessly and beat up and stuff like that. I feel really bad for people.
Yeah, there was only once. Oh my God, yeah. I'm not going to mention names here, but there was one guy that I don't know what he had. Maybe he saw me as an easy target. There was a period where he threatened to fight me at church, which that's
holy ground, man.
Yeah, maybe he thought that's where your powers were weakest.
I mean, Highlanders, no, that's holy ground.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
So yeah, I'm like, but that was just weird. And but yeah, you'll know this because it was I got in a fight in the bathroom in elementary school.
Is that person?
It was that person.
Okay.
And then
I loved how you handled that.
Yeah.
You mocked him as he was trying to beat you up, basically.
That was my only tool.
Like, it made you. How do I put this? It brought you up, I guess.
Did it?
Because you just didn't sit there and take it. Like, you were. Even though you weren't, like, fighting him.
Yeah. No, I certainly wasn't.
You still were.
Yeah.
Like, as it was happening,
I don't
you were,
think,
like, mocking him.
Well, no, that's good to hear because I never really heard it from another perspective.
No, I was there for that.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, the whole class gathered in the bathroom.
I guess I could have jumped in, but...
No.
I guess when you're that...
You're not that kind of friend.
Oh, I didn't have my martial arts training at that point either.
Right.
Now
you still don't.
now I could jump in.
But yeah, so that was the only fight I'd ever been in.
Yeah.
I mean, God willing. Knock on wood. But so
I would.
Yeah. But so I had been in that fight, and I wasn't technically in the fight because it was a very one-sided fight,
and it ended very quickly. There wasn't much to it.
Yeah. So
it's not like you ended up with broken bones.
No.
You used verbal judo.
You're probably.
But I do wonder. Do you think the defense mechanism that I had to use at the time? Do you think it didn't give him the satisfaction he wanted as far as like beating me up?
I think yes. I think it did not give him that. I think it kind of took the wind out of his sails, probably.
Yeah.
You know.
That's interesting.
I think so. From my perspective, being a spectator.
Sitting there eating popcorn.
Thank you, Mike. You're the best friend I ever had.
If I'm not mistaken, you were a spectator at one of mine.
But you were a much better fighter than me. You could actually fight.
Could I?
Yes!
At that time?
Who did you fight? Give me the initials.
SP?
Oh, you were a much better fighter.
That wasn't really much of a fight, though. He just knocked my glasses off, and they went into the urinal.
Why did you mention this earlier?
Were you there for that?
I was there. I forgot about
it, too. He wanted to beat me up because I called him a nasty name that I'm not going to repeat.
Did you deserve it?
Yeah, I shouldn't have called him
After he knocked your glasses off.
No, I think before.
Did you have to fight him Daredevil style? Or you just listen to where his swings were going?
He wrapped his hoodie around his face.
He just smelled where his fists were landing.
No, there wasn't really much of a fight to that. Like, he tried to hit me a couple times, and that was it. Oh, my God. I don't even know if did I fight back?
Yes.
Did I?
You're a much better fighter than I was in those days.
I think I was like in a blackout zone because I don't remember.
No, I remember that being. Yeah, you could fight, man. Like
I didn't think I could, but okay.
Did you walk away with bumps and bruises that you recall, or
if I did, it was nothing. I didn't have any
I recall that being a very. I think you held your own for sure.
Wow, hey, that's interesting.
Yeah. I don't remember looking back at that and thinking, oh my God, I should have done something. Mike got his ass whooped. I don't remember it like that. I remember you had the ability to defend yourself physically.
Wow, interesting. It's a total blank to me, except for the glasses.
That is funny, though, that we've both revealed now that
we were blind rage.
We were both spectators at each other's fights. Oh, that's classic. That's good.
God.
That's really good. I think with your fight, though, because you were, like I said, it didn't seem like he was hurting you because you were making cracks.
Yeah.
Wisecracks while it was happening, so...
But then, do you remember what happened like a week later?
No.
I'll give you initials. J.R.
R. Tolkien?
Yeah.
That son of a bitch!
Maybe you were the bully in that
He
instance.
brought
That
a
dude's
tree
nerd.
man.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'll spell it out. But anyway,
Yeah, write it down. Write it down.
that person
That's an inside joke.
fought the one I fought like a week later, and oh my God, you talk about doing the helicopter earlier. This dude was like speed
Who
bags.
was that? I don't remember who that was. But I remember that happening.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
What, were you guys in a tournament or something?
Fight Club. It's Fight Club.
It's like, he fought me, and then he went on to fight this other guy.
It was High School Fight Club.
How far down the brackets did you make it?
I think this was.
That'd been funny if you and Mike ended
that
up
his
at the
name?
end.
Oh, yes!
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yes!
This dude was like, it was speed,
man, I
like a
love that
speed
dude.
bag,
What
like,
happened to him?
you know, like his fists were like, you couldn't even see him. It was like a little,
His fists were like
a tornado.
Like, the Roadrunner's legs.
Yeah.
His fists were like that. Yeah,
Yeah, and the guy that fought me a week earlier, I guess that guy was just adamant of finding somebody to fight.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he wanted to lay it down on somebody, and I guess when he didn't get the satisfaction with me, he went after this
Went to
other
the
person.
next target.
And this other person,
That guy was cool. I miss him.
He
man.
laid it down like it was not even a fight. It
Yeah.
was, he
I
embarrassed him.
think I was there. I'm pretty sure I was
Yeah,
a spectator.
I'm sure you were.
I think I was a
there was only
spectator, I guess. I'm always sitting on the sidelines.
unless you're getting your own glasses punched into the urinal.
Yeah.
At least there wasn't piss in the urinal. Like, it had been flushed.
Yeah.
There's always some remnant.
Well, yeah.
So, did you wash them off?
Yeah.
He still hasn't washed them off. His
Oh,
same
God.
glasses.
Here,
Do you have the same glasses?
No.
Oh.
God, no. I've gone through a dozen pairs since then, probably.
I think any of the fights I were in were all pretty fucking pathetic.
Yeah.
Like, I think people would not even want to watch them.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been in like a drag me out.
I think the only other fight technically that I've ever been in was when I almost killed you with a baseball bat.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, we got pretty mad. That was weird.
I didn't actually hit you with a baseball bat.
but
I
you
just
picked it
I
up.
held it in defense mode.
Yeah, you picked up the bat, and then I grabbed your arm and held your arm down.
Well, he had seen you in action.
I had.
He was like, "Oh shit, I ain't fucking with him."
Yeah, I need a bat.
He's like, my verbal judo will do no good on this one.
Not my verbal judo.
Most of mine were just like a bunch of shit talking, and then, won't you hit me? No, won't you hit me? Won't you hit me? And then it was like, and then we just end up grappling and going to the ground in a deadlock.
Yeah.
Because no one has the upper, like, kind of almost a weird sideways kind of grab where you're just holding on, and until someone pulls you apart,
And that's it. Yeah.
and you just talk shit as you're walking away.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much.
yeah.
That's happened several times.
Yeah, I've never been in like a balls to the wall like fist fight.
No.
No,
Well, that was mine was the closest, but I wasn't fighting.
Yeah.
I was.
I mean, unless you want to count me sparring when I took martial arts, because some of those I was fighting for, to, like, not get my
Fighting
ass
for
kicked.
dignity.
Yeah, because some of those dudes were like, again, I'm a small person, like I'm a little person,
You have a good center of gravity.
and some of these dudes were like fully adult men, and I was still a teenager doing martial arts,
Yeah.
and Dude, I was actually scared. Like, a few of them, we would rotate, you know, you'd fight this person and you'd go in like a circle.
Yeah, I was there for one of your practices and saw you got like punched in the face.
Probably, yeah. So there's
I was like, ooh.
one
Spectating again.
One guy in particular was like 6'5" and like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
I was terrified to fight
Why
him.
would they match you two up?
They just random rotate. You just go through like the cycle of people
of life.
But then the next week he got the punk kick a 7-year-old.
Yeah. No, we didn't have anybody younger than I think me and this one girl were the youngest two in the class. Yeah. In fact, I don't know if you remember this. Here's a funny one. One time we went to Hooters and she was our waitress. Do you remember that?
No.
Because I started talking to her, and you guys were all like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Oh, I know her.
Vaguely, yeah.
She's blonde. Yeah, she was a Hooters waitress.
Wow.
Wonder what happened to her after that. But yeah. We were the babies of the class, her and I. So a lot of times, like,
Imagine if your lives were reversed and she saw you at Hooters working.
I'd look good in those shorts. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe not so much now, but in my younger days,
Oh yeah, in your prime.
whew,
Yep.
phew, bounce a quarter off my ass.
I'm too pale to wear orange. That's why I wouldn't do it.
But no, a lot of times, like when we were not so much sparring, because again that was kind of random, but when we were like paired up to like practice different things, her and I would pair up a lot because we were like closest in age and kind of the same size too.
So
I don't even remember her name.
well, that had a good ending. So speaking of endings, let's do two things real quickly because we got to start to wrap.
Well, let's
this
talk
up.
about the ending of the movie.
Yes, one we'll touch on that. So, Mike, do you want to take that?
We're just stop here.
Right after. Oh, all right.
So
Pack it up.
So obviously, I mean, we've already had spoilers, not really, because there's not really much to spoil in this movie except the ending, which isn't like groundbreaking nutsoid or anything, but
Still pretty cool.
it's still. I think it works, and I think we touched on that before. I think we talked about it like through text or whatever.
It made every ridiculous thing less ridiculous.
So the ending, he literally kills everyone. He gets down to the final girl, and it's Caroline Munro. He stabs her with a something. He kills her
It's
with
like
something.
a javelin or something.
Something.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up in a hospital bed. So the whole thing was a dream. It was a fantasy. He's still in the hospital. And that doesn't tell you what time period this is. This could have been like a couple months later after high school.
So he's still in the hospital from the high school
Recovering
accident.
from his from his prank gone wrong.
Yeah.
Or if their prank gone wrong. But what's a little different in this case, he actually kills a nurse and then a doctor and escapes. So it implies that even though it was a dream, now he's going to go make that dream come true. He's going to basically recreate what just happened through the course of the movie. Obviously, it's not going to be the same, but he's going to go after that revenge.
Yeah.
And that ending explains all the weird little things that happen throughout the movie, like the beer can with acid in it.
Yeah.
That's unopened and the acid doesn't eat through the can.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there would be certain types that wouldn't eat through metal.
Yeah.
But point is, the can is sealed. He goes,
And the girl in the tub.
the girl in the tub.
Nancy deciding to take a full bath.
Yeah.
And the two people having sex on a bed in the school. You know, these weird little things that don't make
Yeah,
sense.
the lawnmower, the questionable lawnmower decisions.
Yeah. Every decision in that movie, any character fluke, for lack of a better word.
They could suspend reality a little because
it's all dream logic.
Yeah.
The whole movie. So I think it really works well with this movie. So that's the basic gist of the film. It was all a dream.
Yeah.
But at the end, he does kill a couple. He kills a nurse and a doctor, and then escapes from the the hospital.
Perfectly set up for a sequel.
You know what I think would be an interesting sequel?
What's that?
Where like he goes out planning on killing all these people because of how horrible they are and how horrible he assumes they still are, and then they're all like, you know, have gone on different things, and like his accident, like, they mourn him, and they've gone on to like set up things to help like bully people and stuff like that.
Yeah, like
and then
anti-bullying campaigns.
or something, or they all just like
they start like an organization.
Yeah,
maybe not all together, but maybe they all have different things they take from it, and they go on their lives, and like, you know, one helps troubled kids, and one like, you know, maybe.
Well, you know, that's a really good point. To kind of piggyback off something I said earlier, how the people that are bullied carry that with them the rest of their life. Well, you know, it is unfair for me to say that everyone who bullies doesn't bear that burden, because certainly some people do. Certainly some people would fall into a trap, want to be cool with the cool crew. Yeah, let's pick on that guy, the little guy.
They just kind of get caught up in the peer pressure
in the moment, and then they carry that burden with them as they go. So yeah, that's a good point, Justin, that maybe that would have been a cool twist where he finally gets out and he goes to kill him, and they're holding like a fundraiser for him or something.
Yeah. And he still kills him. That would be fucking great. He's like, fuck it, I'm here.
Well, and another thing, Pat, kind of playing off of what you just said with the bullies carrying it with them, also have to realize that a lot of these people that are bullies, a lot of times, there's obviously going to be exceptions. Wow! There's obviously going to be There's obviously going to be exceptions to this, but in a lot of cases, these bullies, and again, not always, but a lot of times they come from not so great households. Sometimes they're bullied by their parents or a sibling or abused in some way that I won't get into. Those things certainly happen and cause them to lash out at other people. Now, there are some people that just bully just to bully because maybe they're not very confident, but it makes them feel confident by putting someone else down. That's certainly the case too.
Yeah.
So there's many reasons, and I think some of those people may grow up and regret those actions. Yeah. Some people may not.
Yeah.
It's everybody, and this is what we've talked about before. Everybody is different. Yeah. Everybody's reaction and what they take from.
Well, it ties into. This might end up being our motto, that everybody's the hero in their story.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, some people could grow up and have almost like a revisionist history about their past.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. And that's the thing too, like we touched on this earlier, where I said, you know, there were times where I unfortunately did involve myself with mocking or ridiculing people here and there. I never got like super duper into it, but there were times where I joined the crowd. And I regret it. It was stupid.
Yeah.
I do feel remorse for that here and there when I did do that. It was dumb. But as I already talked about, and I didn't even really think about it, I myself wasn't very confident. So it made me feel better at the time. Now it makes me feel like an asshole because I realized that was stupid.
Yeah.
So, you know, I learned from it.
Yeah.
And
fortunately, you weren't murdered at the high school reunion.
Well, it was all a dream anyway, so.
Yeah.
So let's rank this puppy.
Sweet.
On a scale from 1 to 10 MacGuffins, 10 being the best. Mike, I'll let you go first since this is your film, and then we'll go to Justin.
Yes, I totally made this film. I am all three British directors.
That's his.
That's my split personalities. Yeah. My three Brits.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, this one has like nostalgic value for me because, again, I talked about it earlier. I saw it when I was really young, and it was one of the earlier ones that I saw, which I don't think it was for a lot of people. I think this one was kind of like buried for a long time under, you know, much better films. I'm not gonna lie, it's not a great movie, but it's fun, even though it's mean-spirited. I think it's mean-spirited, but not so mean-spirited that it's like a complete turn-off from watching it. It is kind of hard to watch him getting bullied. As an adult, you know, looking back on it, it's a little rough. But being a huge slasher fan, I think this one's not the best and it's not the worst. I would probably have to give it a 6.
Give it a 6.
Yep.
All right.
Because I don't think it's bad, but I think it's maybe mildly above middle ground. Mm-hmm. So a 6.
All right.
For
Justin?
me.
6.8.
6.8.
For no reason other than it's higher than what he said by a little bit, but not quite 7 worthy.
Well, and again, like we all kind of agreed that the kills were pretty.
Yeah, the kills are good.
And that helps to just help it
So-
stand out.
Yeah, I'm in that. I guess I'm going to go about 5.5, and I'm rating it based on what it is. Like, I'm not comparing it to all other films. I'm kind of rating it based on what it is.
So I used like other slashers as my gauge.
Yeah. So yeah, I think 5.5 is kind of fair for this one because I did like the gore effects, and I want to see them again from time to time, like the bed scene or the bath scene. But I don't know that I'm going to sit through the whole movie again just to see those. I'll just YouTube those. And see
I want to sit through it just to hear that music.
Yeah. True.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. But very good. All right, so it's we have an average score of 6.1.
I think that's very fair for this movie.
Yeah. What are we doing next week?
I don't know. It's Justin's pick. Did you ever even think of anything?
Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh, I've never seen that, and I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
Phantom
Sweet.
of the Paradise?
Yeah.
Sir, who directed? That was
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
It was.
Was that De Palma?
I believe so, yeah.
I think it was De Palma, and I've never seen it. It's like a rock opera musical thing, right?
Yeah. I always kind of tell people I compare it, and like again, I don't know if this is how accurate this is, but I always tell people, and this is my opinion, I feel like Phantom of the Paradise is to Rocky Horror Picture Show as Dark Crystal is to Labyrinth.
Okay.
Where I feel like Labyrinth's a little lighter and a little more fun and
Yeah.
like a little more like everyone's sing along and stuff, and the Dark Crystal's like, oh, this is kind of dark.
much darker.
This is pretty heavy for kids movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Phantom of the Paradise is a little heavier and a little darker, and like the songs aren't as like some of the songs are kind of sing-songy.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, excellent. I'm excited.
I've always seen that iconic shot of that mask.
Yeah.
And I've never seen the movie.
Yeah, same. Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Well, let's wrap this puppy up.
All right.
Let's put this puppy to bed.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us on this episode of the MacGuffin Guild. Thank you to, what was the movie? Slaughter High. That's what
Slaughter
we watched,
High,
right?
Correct. Slaughterhouse 5.
Slaughterhouse 5. Yes.
Totally different movie.
Oh, hold on.
Slaughterhouse High.
Yeah, I actually meant to say that, but I said the real title instead.
Yeah.
Another shout out to Simon.
Yeah, man.
It's a sad story, but at least he will live on forever in the hearts of horror fans in this
At
role.
least slasher fans.
Yeah, slasher fans. But shout out to him, and thank you guys. Justin, Mike,
Cue outro music.
always a pleasure. Yeah, let's cue the music. Good call. I look forward to this next week. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
So thank you guys. Everybody say bye. Thanks for coming.
Adieu.
Later.
See you.
Get to the ta-ta!
Get to the